Hey guys, this is Remind here doing an audio commentary for WCReplays.com. Get the replay paused at the 2-minute mark. I repeat, get the replay paused at the 2-minute mark. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Remind and I come from Australia. I'm 16 years old and I do member audios and stuff. I post on the forums, so you might know me from there. I've done 6 or 7 member audios and 1 dual audio commentary with Frey. So I've been doing member audios for about 6 months. I play Nightelf, and I've been playing Nightelf for about 2 years. So I'll be commentating this matchup from both sides. So I hope you're near the 2-minute mark. Unpausing in 3, 2, 1, unpause. Alright. We're seeing the DH here. Now, AW creeping is pretty standard with the DH. You just kill the giant sea turtle, pick up the item, and run to your opponent's green camp. You're scouting this. Wisp should always be lingering around to find out what your opponent's doing. Sky has opted for 4 or 5 footman tech, as we can see by the 3 farms. Occasionally what people will do, like Todd and stuff, they'll do 2 wells, 3 footmen, 6 or 7 peasants, and they'll tech hard so they can keep up with the Nightelf's tech. Just watch this Wisp here. When you're creeping, or when the opponent's creeping, what you want to do is harass him. You're going to run in, burn the AM, and run out. And if you can find any low HP peasants, then feel free to chase them. But don't bother chasing them like around the map and like stuff like that. You want to focus on keeping that AM on low mana. You want to not let him creep at his heart's desire. You don't want him to be level 3 in the first 4 minutes. Now, you want to really preserve your HP. You don't really want to take too many hits from the creeps and the footmans and the feetmen, whatever you call them, and the AM. You just want to burn him, run back, burn him, run back, as we're seeing here, until you of course pick up a boots. Now boots become available like right now at the 1900 hours time of day. You can find out the time of day by clicking on the moon in the top bar on the center with the dots and stuff. Now it's always important to get the boots before the AM, because if the AM gets the boots like this, you'll notice that he occasionally gets away on 10 HP. Now that's a real pain. What you want to be doing as a Nightelf is creeping or harassing, depending on which hero you've picked. If you've gone DR or Panda or something, which isn't such a good choice on this map, DR's okay on this map, I guess, because you can creep exponentially fast. What I mean by that is you can creep a green camp, then you can creep out the shop, and then you can creep out a red camp, such as the Forest Troll Warlord camp or something. So depends on your playstyle. Now in a fight like this, you don't really want to fighting here, especially since he has defend. And since he has defend, there are a number of other creep camps that open up for him. With defend, you can creep out pretty much any camp on this map. So Moon knows this, and what he's going to do is make sure that the human player doesn't creep out all the big camps. So it's always important to keep tabs on your opponent. Now Moon is leaving those 3 archers there because if Sky gets a Naga, Moon will pump out more Dryads than what he would normally pump out, because if he gets a Naga, then that means Sky is planning on doing a T2 push. Now you can tell if your opponent's going to be T2 pushing by the fact that he'll have an early lumber mill. An early blacksmith. If he has an early blacksmith, he'll have 3 or 4 rifles out before he hits T2. So he can pick up his Naga, power build 1 Sanctum, get a Sork out, and run to your base and cause you some significant problems. Now, as you can see up the top, Sky has just crept out a red camp with defend and it's taken almost no damage on his units. And the AM is level 3. One of the things that I want to add here is It's always nice to group your DH and your Naga separately from your archers, or group your DH differently to your Naga, which is different to your archers, because you can do little smooth things like this. If you catch your opponent running from a creep jack or something, you can run your Naga into the path that he'll be going and pick up a few kills like this. Now, if he doesn't get a Naga, that means he's gone MK, which is about to pop out. If he's gone MK, then that means he's thinking about expanding or doing something like that. He's thinking about delaying it to the later stages of the game, because he might prefer that, or he might feel he likes that part, likes fighting with the hero mixes that are available. I mean, the unit mixes that are available at that stage of the game. If you have a good early game like Moon's having here, then, and he's gone MK, then that means it's a good time to expand. Now, I'll explain why. If you can get level 3 relatively quickly before your expansion goes up, and he's got an MK, which means he can't exactly harass you and pick your units off, then it's a pretty good time to expand. So we see Moon here creeping out this camp with an AOW, which isn't too difficult. Just run the AOW, have it tank the units with by eating a tree. Pretty basic. Now, I want to go into actually, I'll just do some shoutouts real quick. A shout out to Frey, a shout out to Talamaska, and a shout out to Tainted Sun. Shout out to Handfish and all the member audio commentators. Now I'll talk about some timing here. When you have about 4 Dryads, 3 Dryads out, your opponent will be sitting on about 2 or 3 rifles or 2 or 3 casters. What you want to do is you want to go find him and harass him like Moon's doing here. You want your Dryads focusing on the casters, and you want your archers also focusing on the casters. Coupled with Naga's frost arrows, there is no way that the casters can get away. The Naga just gets surrounded there, which isn't so great, but always focus down on the peasants, the militia. That's always a pain for the human player, and human players don't leave your peasants lying around. You should always get some rifles, but if you think he's getting breakers, rifles and casters, then you want to take the T3 for Baz. Now, a lot of people think that Dryads have no chance against rifles and stuff, but Dryads are actually pretty effective versus rifles, as you'll be seeing here. The slow and the frost arrows and the DH deal a lot of damage to rifles, and the rifles generally won't get away, as we're seeing here. So what you want to be doing as a Nightelf player is focusing down his rifles and not letting him mass them up. That's a really good way to play this matchup. It's a really strong play style. So you'll basically have 4 or 5 Dryads, harass him all game, all mid game. Slow is creeping. So as you can see here, the DH is level 4 and the Naga is almost level 2, and the MK and the AM aren't going to get much creeping done. That MK is really stacked, so it's fairly important to think about getting level 5 if possible. The way you'd go, the playstyle you'd need to get a level 5 is you'd need to play very aggressively. If you know that you're going to need level 5 in this game, then what you'd want to be doing is, instead of creeping camps out, because you can always creep the camps out, but you'd want to be going for the unit kills. You want to be harassing him. Now, he'll be thinking about hitting, or he'll have his ideal army when you're around T3. So be mindful that you want those bears out as fast as possible. Now, it seems like common sense, but you need to focus on map control and stuff. What I mean by that is, map control is a pretty difficult term to define, but I guess you want to be able to fight him and be able to win. You want to, basically what Moon's doing here, harassing, making sure he doesn't expand, slowing his creeping down. That's all map control. You want to focus on doing that. If you can't find him creeping, or you don't know where he is, then don't worry. Run into his base, like Moon will be doing in a sec, and harass his peasants. Now, this is going to cause him some serious problems.